in honor of Diane, who was part of our Sangha that Sue brought in to our Sangha. And I know part of some of the Monday sittings that were happening in Seattle. I'd like to dedicate this morning's practice to her and her passage. May the love we feel for her and all the work she herself brought into being carry her, those beautiful energies, into her next unfolding and embodying wherever and however that is. And I want to acknowledge all the work that it sounds that you are doing in discerning the path. And the Buddha was so clear in so many ways, as have been our ancestors and our own wisdom, that the wholesome energies, the beautiful energies, are the liberating energies. And that those energies become like a boat that carry us through our lives and can carry us through our difficulties and challenges. And I think I mentioned on the first evening how one of my fears in going ahead with chemo and radiation was losing my connection, because I'd be feeling so horrible with any of the wholesome energies, with my love or endurance or patience or commitment or generosity or perseverance. And that that kind of has dissolved, because I feel like I have so much faith in the law of karma, that all those intentions I've had, not that it's always realized, but all those intentions I've had to be kind, even when I'm not kind, may I in the future, or non-reactive or patient, that all those intentions will carry me as they will carry you. And that's one way to talk about what we're doing together, is cultivating those beautiful energies. And you listen to the talk on joy, so that, because this is the cement that holds the framework of the boat, which are the beautiful energies, we need something to hold that framework, that wooden outline, because I'm imagining a wooden boat. And what glues it together is the strength that comes from turning towards our suffering. And we get to choose that dance, because we can't avoid turning towards what is difficult and how it's living in our mind and body. That turning towards what is difficult and being willing to feel it does become the strength that in a way holds all those beautiful qualities together in this boat. That difficulty actually, for whatever reason that's because I think how we're made, actually takes us to deeper places in our being. And it just reminds me of the difference between the Dharma and the Louise Hayes and that movement of think positive. And that's not what the Buddha said. He didn't just say, oh, think what's positive, and if you're not thinking what's positive, then you're not doing the practice properly. The Buddha is saying, build our strength by acknowledging what's beautiful and joyful, what we have gratitude for, where we can feel love, where we feel compassion and equanimity. Build all the ways that we know so that we come into touch with the sense of, I deserve to be here in this world in the way I am, because I'm a human life and all human life is sacred. That is something that every life is calling us to, that place where we get to inhabit ourselves with respect and honor, however we are. And then from that strength, and it's not just one thing for years and years, although maybe sometimes it is, but often going back and forth, like weaving. When we weave a piece of material, there's this like basic structure that we build in, and then we go up and down and up and down and up and down, taking moments to open to the whole reality of what we're experiencing, our suffering, and feeling it, not with the the stories of that suffering, but with the energy of it, how it lives in our body. When we have the same thought that we've had many, many times about our suffering or what's wrong or what's bad, that is never wisdom. It's never the truth. It's never an accurate reflection of ourselves and our lives, both personally and as a community. And for those of you who are newer to the practice, who have joined this retreat, the Buddha stresses this, and my teachers have as well. There isn't any teacher I know who doesn't, which says if a thought is imbued with any of the negative qualities, rage, hatred, anger, greed, compulsion, craving, anxiety, fear, sloth, torpor, doubt, those thoughts are never true. They're just never true. That's kind of deep, but they're never true. And so one of the most beautiful qualities of mindfulness is that it begins to discern that when we're present and we notice a habitual thought, you have the support of all the wisdom in the world and this lineage and of all liberation to challenge that thought and say, no, I am not going there. I am refusing to feed this. And I use an image because sometimes having an image is really helpful for me. And the image comes from one of the Harry Potter books, where he's in a room and he doesn't know which door to take. And so I'm in this room and there are a couple of doors, and I paint a red cross on the door of that habitual thinking. I'm like, I am painting a red cross and saying to myself, you absolutely cannot go through that door, Arinna. No. And sometimes I just come to my feet and I stand and I say, I am standing right here, praying to the lineage, all my ancestors and all energies to support me in not feeding these things, these thoughts and energies. And I have found that incredibly helpful. And sometimes I use the image, you've heard this before, some of you, of Manjushri, who is like a cross between Manjushri, this, Tibetan warrior, and an Amazon. And so I'm on a horse and I have the sword and I'm like, no, cut, you cannot continue that thought. So as you're hearing, I use various different creative images to support me in this commitment of really caring for myself and not taking on the negative energies that we have taken in because we live in this culture and because we have the karmic structure to take it in. We have that psychological structure to do it. But we can keep taking out the wood from the fire of those energies by over and over again discerning, oh, even though I think this might be true, because this thought has one of these unwholesome energies associated with it, it can't be true. And for some places where we are, the thinking is part of being deeply wounded, then we know, because it's part of a deep wound, that we're going to keep having those thoughts. So I don't get impatient with myself. I know that it takes time because the strength of the thought is directly correlated with the depth of the wound. And it could be even something kind of little that touches the depth of the wound. And in the beginning, I was like, why am I thinking about this all the time? It's not even such a big deal, until I discerned, oh, this touches something deep. That's just what is happening. And because it does, I have to keep protecting myself by over and over again saying, no, you can't. You cannot go there, Arinna. And then I come to my body and either feel the feeling in my body if I feel ready to, or go to somewhere neutral, depending on what's happening with my mind. I can go to my elbows, or I can even make silent sounds like, oh, but if I'm in the middle of the meditation hall, I do it silently. But I feel my throat opening when I do that. Or sometimes I do a breath like this, and I have my tongue curled, and I feel the rush of air coming across my tongue. And then I hold my breath, and then allow myself to release and feel that releasing all the way down into my body. So different ways, creative ways, try them all on, and your own ways to begin to disentangle from those old defenses. And that's how I think of greed, compulsion, obsession, anger, hatred, revenge, anxiety, and fear. They're like these old defenses because I didn't understand that they were helpful in the past, but not anymore. Not once we come to the practice. And I don't need self-hatred to defend myself. So this path is about cultivating the beautiful and abandoning, as you heard, abandoning the unwholesome. And that is particularly around our thinking. And sometimes in the beginning of a retreat, as we sit down, we can be overwhelmed with all the different things that come up, as Leanne so beautifully shared. What am I doing here? I don't know what I'm doing here. This is too hard. But that doubt, if we can use our mindfulness to name it, oh, doubt, something about this isn't true. I don't have to keep on thinking it. It's like, it's like, for example, in some teachers' meetings I've been in, which I've ended up in a group of mostly male teachers, and they'll talk to each other because they're close with each other and totally ignore me. And I'll watch some form of self-judgment come up. Not 100%, but just that triggered because as a woman, as a queer woman, that place of feeling invisible is so painful, and then without mindfulness, I can just go into it again. And then every time I go into it and believe it, I'm building that in my body. And it has nothing to do with me. It has to do with sexism and the guys who are enacting sexism. It has nothing to do with me. Every thought that we have that's associated with the negative energies is oppression. It is not our real home. And this practice is about reclaiming our real home. And just like any structural change, it takes a while, right? Any change, cultural change, Like, for example, when I first moved to San Francisco, there were these outrageous posters of almost semi-nude women, like draping themselves on cars to sell motor cars. I can't remember which company it was. And we went and spray painted, all those expensive posters in the middle of the night, which is, illegal. And I think it's like hundreds of dollars of fine. But we kept on doing it and writing to the city council and doing all this stuff until they stopped doing it. And it took years. So just to say, and that's just such a small example, right? So I'm not saying this is magical. I'm not saying it's like, oh, just have one positive thought and you're good. No, we are undergoing a deep structural change. But it's so worth it, right? It's so worth it. Because that's what we're here for. We're alive to do this work. And we're not only alive to do it for ourselves, but by doing it, we're ending the ways that our parents and our families and other people didn't have the conditions to do it. So the Buddha said, if you look at the whole wide world of all sentient beings, it's just a thumbnail who come to the Dharma. For any liberatory teachings. And so in a way, we've been given this incredible blessing to have such explicit support to reclaim our true heritage and to heal what our parents and families and this culture hasn't had the support to heal. That's what leadership is. That's what we're doing. We're leading in naming and being willing to feel what is difficult in order to disentangle from it. And in cultivating the beautiful qualities. And so that's an umbrella for the retreat and our lives on retreat and off retreat, actually. And then within the retreat for today as well, when those thoughts and energies come up, to name them, and then come back to the body as a refuge for the second day. Come back to the body, come back to the just simplicity of feeling pressure where you're standing or sitting or lying down. There's always some pressure in that contact. That's just so simple. Oh, pressure, the earth element. That's what is the earth element. Or if you rather soft, oh, here is the softness of the touch of my tongue in my mouth, the root, the bottom of my tongue. It's so soft, that softness. Just, oh, what's soft in my experience right now? Or what I'm seeing. Oh, this is so what I'm seeing. It's like, am I really present to my seeing or my hearing or my tasting? You don't have to be eating to know what you're tasting. Saliva always has a little bit of a taste, pretty much. At least mine does at the moment. So, so whatever, smelling. It's spring. It must be that where you are, the blossoms out on the trees. And the smell of that, so lovely. So coming back to the body for the second day, but not letting yourself get caught in those thoughts, right? Which is also part of the third foundation of mindfulness. So tomorrow I'll talk about the second foundation a little bit more because I want to. I just got some Chinese medicine and it's helping a little bit. So I'm so happy about that. So okay, let's come back to a short. We'll go just maybe a little bit over time, and practice together. See if you would like to plant the seed of a wholesome intention, whatever it is, how you would like to meet yourself in this moment. How would you like to meet yourself? And as you do, appreciating it, appreciate that's what you want to be doing. I want to participate again in the structural change of my being and my community by offering myself wishes for well-being, for kindness. Or for patience, or for faith. May I have faith in what I'm doing. And take a moment to appreciate that this is what you're offering to yourself. That's so Such a beautiful thing to do. And see if your appreciation can become the field, as though it were a green grass field, a field in which we're sitting or lying down or standing. And knowing that it's safe, a beautiful quality, we can relax. And surrendering our weight into the support that's underneath us. And in the surrender, just becoming receptive or as open as possible to let the body feel itself. Just staying patient and noticing what is communicating itself to you, the body. Could be vibration or touch of cloth against the skin, or warmth and coolness. Staying patient. And if the breath is discernible and calling you, receiving that communication. Or it might be that awareness wants to touch the different sensations in the body of hard and soft, warm and cold, vibration, tingling. In the background is that appreciation and gratitude of what you're doing, no matter what the experience. Letting your mind go to wherever is most comfortable, most pleasant, or neutral. We know we're building and supporting non-distractions, staying connected to the experience of the body. allowing breath to breathe itself, or pressure to be pressure. Feel with the breath, see if you can notice the very beginning of the breath and how it ends, and the beginning of the out breath and how it ends. Coming back if the mind has wandered off. However it is okay, knowing it as it is. Thank you, everyone, so much. So lovely to see you.